Welcome to Oyate Today. Oyate in Lakota means people. Brought to you by Native Sun News Today. Hi, welcome to Oyate Today. I am your host, Richie Richards. Oyate Today is produced by Tim and Jackie Gallego. Tim is an enrolled member of the Oglala Sioux tribe. Our guest tonight, our very special guest tonight is Stardust Redbow, and she's the Veterans Recovery, or we're going to be talking about the Veterans Recovery Concert happening on November 11th here in Rapid City. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Richie.
I'm really excited about our conversation, so once again, thank you. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be, let's just hear about yourself, please.
I've been born and raised here in Rapid City. I went to college out in New Jersey for a couple of years, received my master's degree at Walla Walla University in Billings, and wanted to come back to the Rapid City area to have a career, and I love the area. Wouldn't see myself living permanently anywhere else. I like to travel, explore other places, and I'm a proud dog mom, have a horse, love animals. That's probably what if you asked any of my friends, they would tell you right away. That kind of stands out about me, is that
Nice.
I'm pretty involved in animal rights and activities with dogs as just a personal passion.
Sure, and I never mentioned your professional positions, but you wear several hats. Could you tell us about what you're doing professionally, please?
Yes, I work for VA Black Hills, and I have several job titles there. I've been a social worker. That's what I received my master's degree in. And I work as the local recovery coordinator and the peer support specialist supervisor, and I am the program manager for our intensive community mental health program.
And so what do some of those titles, or what do you do kind of exactly, if you can kind of just summarize some of that?
So for recovery, the VA looks at the SAMHSA model of recovery, and we see recovery as helping individuals live a high quality of life after they've been diagnosed with a physical illness, a mental illness, or a substance abuse disorder. And what that means for quality of life is defined by the individual. It's defined by the veteran or community member on what they would see as of value to them. How are they content with their life? How do they move on after a diagnosis, no matter what that diagnosis is? Do they find new activities they enjoy? Do they connect with others, develop a support network?
One of the other things that's really unique and special about yourself is that you happen to be Buddy Redbow's daughter. Great musician, great musical hero of mine, and just an all-around, person that has stood out over the last few decades in our community. So tell me about your father, Buddy Redbow, because we're going to get into a discussion about the Redbow documentary that recently came out on South Dakota Public Broadcasting. But first, tell us a little bit about your father, please.
Well, from the time I was born, he was already in the entertainment industry, primarily as a musician, but also as an actor and cultural advisor. So to me, that was just part of what was normal for my life and being involved in that. I had a great relationship with my father. It wasn't necessarily a traditional type of relationship just because of how he was traveling and his line of work. I liked that. For my personality, that worked really well with me. I love music. I love the arts. I've been actively involved in theater most of my life, doing stage management and production.
Wow.
So for me, I don't know which really came first. It was just because I was raised around that it was a natural progression for me, or if it was something I would have done anyway, and it helped me relate more to my father because of that.
Mm-hmm. Many of us who happen to be over the age of 40 plus, let's say, maybe even 30 plus, have our special memories of Buddy Redbow's story, or how he has impacted our lives, or his music touched our hearts, or what we're going through in life. Could you share a little bit about your bond with him and some of your favorite memories, or a couple of your favorite memories with your father? I really enjoy these type of stories, by the way. Mm-hmm.
My earliest memories are of my dad playing guitar, just always. He and his friends were always impromptu singing, and playing guitar. And so those are some of my earliest memories. Of course, I have all the memories of being his daughter. There are a few that kind of stand out to me. One was one of my birthdays when I was a little girl. It was at the water slide park, and my dad showed up with the iconic big black hat that he wore everywhere,
Yeah.
you know, dressed like my dad dressed, which was a little eclectic.
Yeah.
And, you know, definitely stood out among the other swimmers. Mm-hmm. So there were things like that that I remember. I remember him calling on holidays and always being curious, like, well, where is he at now, or what is he doing? And going shopping with him. I used to have one of my best friends growing up in elementary school, and other friends would say, like, oh, you're spoiled. And I would think, no, I'm not spoiled. But then looking back, I think, yeah, maybe because I had a very different relationship with him, it could come off as spoiled, because he was very gentle with me and encouraging. And my mom the same way. She is a retired teacher and knows a lot about early childhood development. And both of my parents were very, I would say, good at promoting my own ideas and spirits, and not squashing anything that I had as a dream or idea, and encouraging me that, you know, you can do whatever you want to do, and
Definitely. They were
go follow my own path.
That's awesome. So they're very supportive of your dreams then.
Yes, and I think that's one thing looking back, because my dad was in the military, and so I'll talk to other people who have military fathers or mothers, and it's not quite the same experience that I had, because I think maybe with his being more of the creative side with the music industry and everything, that he was more of a don't use force unless you have to. And with me, I was never disciplined physically or punished, as I would say, because I think physical discipline is more of a punishment. It was more of the natural consequences to my actions, and I think just in my own personality, wanting to do well, I was maybe hard enough on myself that I
Sure.
didn't need the external discipline as much as I needed the guidance and encouragement.
Definitely. And so when you would be a part of these jam sessions, these impromptu, let's pull out our guitars and have a jam session kind of moments, what was kind of special for those for you? I mean, what types of, because he has 3 records out, I believe it is, right?
Right.
And so we hear his music that's public, but I'm sure there's some things that were unique and special to his own moments and private moments with like persons like yourself or his family and friends.
For me, and my mom will joke about this, that ever since I was a baby, when she first started bringing me to concerts, the music put me to sleep. Mm-hmm. So I still occasionally struggle with that. I can be at a rock concert and I'm getting drowsy because it's soothing to me. It was, and I think that's kind of how I viewed it. It was just almost like a lullaby type of thing. No matter how loud the music was, it just feeling the beat and the vibrations of it. So it was a relaxing time. It was always a good time. It was fun, and typically my dad and his friends would be in great moods if they were performing. That's what they loved to do. That's
awesome. You had a real gleam in your eye talking to me about your father. That was really special to see. Now, you were a creative advisor for the documentary, the Red Bow documentary that was featured on South Dakota Public Broadcasting. Tell me a little bit about your role with that then.
The documentary idea was Lee Stubinger's from South Dakota Public Broadcasting, and Andrew Bork was the cinematographer on it. And Lee approached me about his idea to do the documentary and wanted to make sure that he was doing it accurately. And so I agreed that with Dick Darnell, my dad's producer, that we would creatively kind of advise, make sure that the information was accurate. And it wasn't to squash any storyline or direct it a certain way, just to make sure that what was said was true, and allow the filmmakers to go down the path that they chose and portray him however they could in the most accurate light.
Let's take a quick break. I want to hear a little bit more about the production of this and the persons that were involved. So we'll be back after a short break.
Closed captioning for Oyate Today is brought to you by Black Hills Energy. Ready.
Native Sun News has been voted the best weekly newspaper in its class for 2015 by the South Dakota and North Dakota Newspaper Associations. You can find a copy of the Native Sun News at many businesses and vending machines in Rapid City and the surrounding area, and on all 9 reservations. We publish every Wednesday, so advertisers and subscribers can reach our diverse readership by calling 605-721-1266. The Native Sun News covers the other side of the story.
You can't predict life's ups and downs. You just give it all you've got to stay on top. But it's easier with a partner like Security First Bank. Since 1898, we've been riding with you through the country's biggest ups and downs. And this is where we'll stay. Security First Bank, a relationship you can count on. Member FDIC.
I like to eat apples and bananas. I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Hi, welcome back to Oyate Today. Once again, our guest tonight is Stardust Redbow. Thank you so much for being here. It's been a good discussion. And before the break, we were talking a little bit about the Redbow documentary that was featured on South Dakota Public Broadcasting. And could you talk to me a little bit more about the people that was involved in, say, the interviews or the production of that film, that documentary?
Most of the people involved were people who were in the band with my dad and had known him from the time of North Junior High all the way up until his death in '93. And they were good friends of his. They were on tour with him, they traveled with him, and in addition to being his bandmates, they were close to him. And then others in the documentary who were interviewed were people who are familiar with the music scene in South Dakota and elsewhere. And then, as I mentioned, his producer, Dick Darnell.
And it seems like your father had a very humorous side to him, because a lot of the stories that were shared, there were people remembering. So there were sad moments because I went to go see the pre-screening of the film before it came out on PBS, but it seems like people shared funny and engaging stories of him, and that's a pretty unique part of his life then.
Yes, he was always very gregarious and a great storyteller. And you never really knew sometimes when he was telling you a story whether it was a story or it was accurate. Did it actually happen? Were there elements of it that might have been a little bit of a fabrication?
Yeah.
But yeah, he always had a great sense of humor. He was, in some ways, very perfectionistic about his music. So he had that side too. But for the most part, when he was out in public or engaging with others, he was lighthearted.
I definitely recommend this film and this documentary for anybody that may have come across Buddy Redbow in their life or in their, during their musical times. But, where can we find this documentary now then?
It's on the South Dakota Public Broadcasting website, SDPB, and if you just search for Redbow, there will be other clips that show some behind the scenes aspects of the film, the artwork for the poster, and the full documentary is available to stream. Cool,
thank you so much. And let's talk about your work now. Your father's work, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. But let's talk a little bit about your work then. You mentioned your positions and the work that you do in those, so let's kind of go a little bit further into that. And let's talk about recovery for veterans. What is that like? What is that like for you as an employee helping our veterans?
As the recovery coordinator, I love that part of my job. I love all my jobs, but that one I connect to the most because it's so positive, and it really informs my work in the other roles I have at the VA too. And it allows me to engage with everyone because recovery isn't a one-person job. It takes the VA, it takes the community, it takes the veterans and those individuals who are working on recovery, which I go to a lot of outreach events and people will say, like, oh, I don't need recovery. I think, really? You don't have anything in your life you want to improve? Because they look at recovery as a very narrow word. They think recovery means I have an addiction, or maybe they'll broaden it to, oh, I have a mental illness and I'm trying to work on that, where I see recovery as something that can affect everyone because most people have some type of a health problem, or even if it's just an adjustment disorder, a new job they've started, how do they make sure that they're living a healthy life and content life?
So recovery covers all aspects of our lives then. And you brought us a sheet here. What is this about? Is this the recovery wheel then?
Yes, this is the Principles of Recovery wheel. And if you can see, there are so many different areas that are involved in someone's life that we would consider recovery. So when people ask me what I do, I usually whip out one of these on a sheet and say, okay, anything on here applies to what I can help you with or connect you with. So that's why I am involved in a lot of things, because it is very broad. And it looks at, on here we have what VA staff can do to help people and what the veterans can do, because we want people to be in charge of their own lives and in charge of their own care, helping us direct that. I use the analogy of the veteran is the one steering the ship, and we're there, and other people in the community can be there to help navigate, maybe throw out some suggestions, throw out a life vest if needed, but the person in charge is the veteran, or the individual who's wanting to receive care.
Is that because this person then is identifying what they're needing to be healthy in taking those next steps then?
Because, say it were you, Richie, I can't tell you what you value. I can't tell you that, this should be important to you, or that you want to be in this type of career, or you want to engage in this type of recreational activity, or you want to eat this specific diet, or this is the type of exercise you want to do, or it matters to you that you address this health issue versus that health issue. And it does tie in a lot to whole health and more holistic approaches too. On the wheel, you can see there's hope, there's person-driven, there's many pathways, and that goes into the individual choice, that you can identify what works for you. It may not be what works for me, and that doesn't mean that what you've identified is any less important as a goal, or how you want to get there. Even if we have the same goal, our approach to addressing it may be different. So we want to make sure people are giving that feedback. Holistic approaches, trying different things, relationships, peers, getting that support and understanding, and improving the quality of relationships. It's not necessarily about quantity. People can have a lot of friends or acquaintances, but who do they have that they can call in an emergency or who's going to really have their backs. So we want to make sure that we're strengthening those relationships in the families and in the friendships. And then cultural, engaging in any cultural or spiritual practices that help strengthen the individual. And then trauma, addressing past traumas, and the strengths and responsibilities, identifying that we're all responsible for our own lives, and everyone has a strength. You may get to a low point where you don't see that or you don't feel strong, but knowing that you can get through it, there is hope, and that's one of the big things with recovery is everyone can improve their lives.
And where can someone come and learn more information about this? Is there a website we can visit, or?
You can go to the VA website. We also have a lot of different activities we do in the community with outreach. Several nonprofits in the VA are also involved in a couple of upcoming events we have where we don't have an official name yet. We're sort of tentatively calling it the Rapid City Wellness Group.
There you go. Yeah.
So for Rapid City Wellness, we're meeting on Halloween at Starbucks at the Alex Johnson from 11 to 2, just to give people information about our various programs and resources. And then we have a Healthy Minds event. The event is to promote mental health awareness, reduce stigma, and promote suicide prevention, and that will be May 2nd at the Rushmore Mall.
Okay, cool. So you have several events coming up, and you have a
Yes.
concert coming up. So let's take a break. And just for the record, for my career path, I wanted to be Buddy Redbow at one time. So, but here I am on Oyate today. We'll be back after a couple of minutes.
Thank you.
Kindness. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
I got a crick in my neck, limp in my step, cramping in my muscles every time I try to flex. But I don't want to get on. Very sad, no more love. All that I can do was remember you. You know I usually say no, but if you throw me love, I'll feel it some more.
Hi, welcome back to Oyate Today. Once again, our guest tonight is Stardust Redbow. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really impressed with your work and everything you're doing in our community, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Richie.
Awesome. And now let's talk about the Veterans Recovery Concert. It's happening on Veterans Day, Monday, November 11th on Veterans Day. Talk to me a little bit about this event.
Yes, talking about recovery, one of the things with recovery is building community, and a concert is an excellent way for people to develop friendships and have a fun night out with a loved one or a friend and relax, not focus on all the stresses of their lives. Music has been proven to reduce stress, lower blood pressure, increase memory. And knowing that, that's how I started thinking about how to incorporate music into my work with recovery. I love, as mentioned earlier, I love music myself. So that was one of the first things I kind of go to if I'm going through anything, is finding a concert or listening to music. And I kept hearing every Sturgis rally, typically that time of year, I'd hear from veterans saying, oh, you know, I love such and such a band. And I ask, oh, are you going to go to the concert? Oh, no. You know, the crowds, the alcohol,
It
the
could be
noise.
a trigger of some sort then.
Right. It can be very triggering for people, especially if they're dealing with PTSD or other issues, to be in a traditional concert environment.
Sure. Now, you brought a flyer for the event. What's the
did.
band's name?
So the band is Tantric. If you go to YouTube and search Tantric Band, or Facebook or Instagram, you should come up with their information. And they've been around since '99 and have lots of good music. Their last album came out last October, Mercury Retrograde, and they're great guys. They're very supportive of veterans. They're supportive of suicide prevention efforts. And
Awesome.
we were very lucky to have them on board with us.
And give me some logistics. When and where is this taking place?
So it's taking place at Western Dakota Tech's Event Center on November 11th. It's Monday, Veterans Day. Doors open at 6 o'clock, and it's open to veterans, service members, and their family and friends. I've had a couple of veterans ask about children, you know, if they have, you know, more than one, can they bring them? And the answer is yes, of course. It's open to all ages. There shouldn't be anything that's inappropriate for kids, as long as I would recommend bringing some earplugs for the
Sure.
younger ones.
And so are booths going to be at this?
Yes, we will have some other nonprofits, mental health agencies, suicide prevention agencies, Wounded Warrior Project will be there. And the sponsor for the event main sponsor is Forefront Design.
Awesome. And then who can we contact in order to maybe get a booth there or help to be a part of this?
If you go to the Facebook webpage, we have an event site. You can search under Forefront Design or Tantric Band. Or if you put in, probably the easiest way to find it would be if you just search Veterans Recovery Concert on Facebook. The event page should come up for you. That would be the best way to do that. And we're really excited for the event. There's not going to be any flashing lights, so people who have seizure disorders or may be triggered by that don't have to worry about attending.
Thank you so much for being on our show tonight, Stardust. I really appreciate it. I want to thank our producers. I want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank you for. I want to thank Prairie Edge for hosting our show tonight. I want to thank you for making Oyate Today a part of your night. And please visit www.oyatetoday.org.
You've been watching Oyate Today, brought to you by Native Sun News Today.